Yo, welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet VGC video. I'm your host, Jose Rocks VGC, and today we're going to be getting into ranking every Paradox Pokemon. This is as of Regulation C with the Ruin Pokemon involved in it. But we're not going to be ranking the Ruins today, just the Paradox, but this is not a Series 2 or Regulation B rule set. This is Regulation C. This is completely subjective to my opinion, and let's go ahead and get into it. So for starters, we can start by let's go ahead and create another column for these two, since they're not S, right? We'll just make that a black row. All right. Oops. Let's just stay F. Make that pink, right? Actually, we'll make this this color, just so we can see it. So this is actually gonna be not legal. All right, so that's gonna be Koraidon and Miraidon. All right, so starting with Brute Bonnet. So Brute Bonnet, in my opinion, I want to say it's a B in this format. Brute Bonnet is pretty good. I like Brute Bonnet personally, but whenever I use it, I can't seem to like get any production out of it. Right? What's one of his best sets? Spore, Rage Powder, Sucker Punch, Bullet Seed with Loaded Dice. Yeah, I think the thing is, when you're using Brute Bonnet, it's like, okay, it can Sucker Punch things, it can Bullet Seed things, it's a good grass type, it's doing good damage. But then it's like, when you're Rage Powder and Spore, and you're like, I just wish this thing was bulkier, right? So then you want to, you know, you don't want to run any speed investment. You want to raise his special defense. You want to raise his defense, right? You want to raise his HP. You don't really want to invest in anything else, right? Then it's not doing any damage, but you want to run it bulky so you can like successfully get spores off and be really slow, right? And want to be in Trick Room, right? Then just use Amoonguss, because that's what Amoonguss does, and that's pretty much why you see Amoonguss more, because it feels like with Brute Bonnet, like you want to do what Amoonguss does, but you're just not slow enough and you're not bulkier. And it is bulkier as far as the HP and the defenses, but what comes with Amoonguss is usually running Citrus Berry, which this can run Citrus Berry as well. But Amoonguss gets Regenerator, and that's what separates it, right? The ability. So Amoonguss' ability to go Regenerator is just, it's really clutch, right? Because you can cycle this around, switch it out, and you can tear it to survive and tear it into water, which is a pretty good Terra type for it. And you can put things to sleep, you can redirect, and you also have the natural poison typing, so you're not naturally 4 times weak to anything. Like this is 4 times weak to bug, so you do have to tear it to get the most out of the defenses of this Pokemon. And I kind of feel like you can use this ability like Photosynthesis on a Sun team and get like strong Sucker Punches off. But if you're just going for strong Sucker Punches, why not just use Chien-Pao, right? It drops defenses. It's already it doesn't have a higher attack stat, but with its ability to drop defenses and it gets stab Sucker Punch as well, you might as well go with Chien-Pao. And it's faster. It enables your other teammates. This is kind of like a pseudo support / offensive mon. I guess that's what the point of it is. I think you should fully commit to this if you want to use it offensively and not go for the half and half set, because this kind of like limits you, because you're gonna always be wishing you wanted to do more damage or wanted to be more supportive so you can take better advantage of the support moves, right? So that's why I'll put Brute Bonnet as a B for this format. All right, next one, Roaring Moon. Roaring Moon used to be a S tier. I think it is better than Brute Bonnet. I'm gonna say A tier. Roaring Moon is still good. I think that the set that made people not want to really use it, this got kind of played out, right, is the Booster Energy set. Flying Terror and Acrobatics. This is the set that kind of got played out, that made people feel like it's not as good. And it's kind of like when you go with the with Throat Chop. This is kind of like pseudo Yveltal, right? People that like Yveltal kind of use this to reminisce about it, just with the added Dragon type. But it kind of reminds them of like Yveltal, because it can go for tailwinds, strong dart type attacks, strong flying type attacks, right? And it gives you that Yveltal feel. It's not a bad set by any means, but it is like vulnerable to because you do want to be running the speed nature on this and not the attacking nature. So you are vulnerable to like intimidates and burns and things like that drop your physical attack, and then it's just kind of not doing enough damage, right? And it feels pretty bad when it's not doing enough damage. Fluttermane is the most common Pokemon in the format, and the fact that it can just outspeed you and one-shot you, and forcing you to always have to terror if you lead this, unless you know have something to switch in the back, kind of like knocks off his viability. That's always been the case, but it feels like now that you like it's more dark types in the format, you can't really hit them with the dark stab, and now you're just stuck to using your acrobatics, right? And if they have a good like steel tear or anything like that, then you're just really not doing enough damage. I say it's still an A because it does get tailwind. You could use another set that I like, and this is my secret set that I like to use. So it's Earthquake, Booster Energy. You're gonna go max attack, right? Max speed, and then you're gonna have Dragon Dance. And then you can go like, protect, of course, and then whatever filler move. You could go Rock Slide, you could go Throat Chop, right? And then use this next to like a Levitate or a Flying type Pokemon. And this is a really fun set. I like this set. It's not like, it's a little more offensive and you're not like really worried about Intimidate. It can come out, but if you have like a Defiant user on your team or something next to it, then this can be like really threatening. You could drop the Protect and go for a Tailwind. That's also, viable, but it's pretty much up to you at that point. Sorry about that. Alright. But I would say Roaring Moons is an A tier. Alright, so Iron Valiant. I would say it's a B tier. I would say it's about as good as Brute Bonnet. I did make a team with a special variant of this, which is I feel like it's the better version rather than the physical one, because you just get intimidated and then you just, it feels really bad, right? Intimidate is back full force, and it's gonna be even worse once Incineroar comes back, if it does come back in the home update. But yeah, I was using this set, Moonblast, Aura Spear, and then I had Energy Ball to help with Palafin and then Protect. And then I was using this next to Chi-Yu, and it was able to deal like tons of damage, right? And you can like go Scarf Chi-Yu just because the Focus Sash is taken there, and that way you're threatening with Scarf if they don't have like Booster Energy or their own Scarf, and their Iron Valiant also has the Focus Sash, so it can survive the hit. And then you just go max special attack, and 120 special attack is really good. It's only 10 less than its physical attack, and like just the fact that they can try to intimidate you and burn you, and then you're dealing mad damage with these the Moonblast and the Aura Spear. I really like this set. The other set that most people you'll probably see, I like this set too, but it's I do have this set in game, but I haven't used it on a ladder yet. But this is a fun set too if you do want to use the physical variant. You want to go Shadow Sneak and Ghost Terror, right? Protect. Why does it take so long for my Terror to change right there? I'm not sure. Maybe you go Focus Sash on this too. You can also go, if you want to be spicy, you can go Trick Room and flex this in front of with a fake out user. If they have like a Tailwind team, let them set up Tailwind, fake out the other Pokemon, set up Trick Room, and then you have this under Trick Room, and it's really strong. Like I said, 130 attack is hitting 182. That's really strong, and it's still a good Pokemon. I feel like it is a B. Like I said, it is weak to Flutter Mane naturally. It gets outsped by it. It gets one shot by it, and that's never a good thing. The special defense is pretty mediocre. So Flutter Mane is always gonna, KO you. Even if you tear away from it, it's still gonna do a lot of damage. Similar to like Great Tusk in that, but Great Tusk has a lot more going for it as far as the coverage that it hits. And ground and fighting coverage is more valuable. Well, actually, fairy coverage might be better. This should be better in this current format. I'm not sure why it's not seen more, but more people could use this because of how many dark types are running around, right? It actually could be better than the ground coverage that Great Tusk offers. I'm gonna try it again. I want to try both these sets again, and once the next season starts, I do have a video using this plus Chiyu on my page. If you want to scroll down to the Iron Valiant video, it's on the thumbnail, and I actually used it pretty well. I got a bunch of wins with it. I had a nice little winning streak, but I do want to try out the physical one. So let me take a sip of water. I gotta stay hydrated. Yeah, the physical one could be good. It does do pretty well in the Ting Lu. I would give it that. And of course, this set you can go for the Spirit Break onto Chen Pao, bring it down to Sash, and then Shadow Sneak it. As long as they shouldn't be able to take you down to your Sash with a Sucker Punch or Ice Spinner. So I would say it's a B. Iron Thorns. I'm gonna say you're D. I don't, just because you're a Paradox Pokemon, I actually don't think there are any F tiers. We're gonna say D, right? And it matches the color right here. It's perfect for it. So Iron Thorns. So what does Iron Thorns do? So the set that I was using in Series 2, Regulation B, was a Bug Terror variant. Excuse me, of Iron Thorns with loaded dice. So we go loaded dice, Bug Terror, and then we went Pin Missile. Now this was fun next to a redirection user like Mousehold to give you the extra bulk. You go for the Follow Me with Frame Guard, and you can go for Pin Missile, then Swords Dance, and Wild Charge, Rock Blast, just so you can get the most out of your loaded dice. And this set is pretty fun. The only downside to this is that, oh, wait, why is it Terra Dark? It's supposed to be Bug. Yeah, so Bug Terror. So the only downside to this is for the simple fact that I felt like I needed Protect, right? And if you take off Swords Dance, then you're really not doing enough damage. And I guess you could just go double stab and take this off, but the Pin Missile made it feel like it was made for that strategy, and it just felt really good to use it. I did bring 2 of these into the when I caught 2 Iron Thorns. The second one I had was a Grass Terror one, and this was the one to get around, like, Spores and Rage Powder and stuff like that, which I felt a little bit more consistent. But the Bug Terror was definitely more fun and just surprising. Like when you go Bug Terror, nobody's expecting. They're like, wow. And it also has the same, the ground resistance that you're looking for, since you're 4 times weak to ground. And it was really good. I mean, you could get rid of Wild Charge, but then you're like missing that electric stab, and I feel like that's what separates it from Tyranitar, is the electric stab. Because why else would you use this over Tyranitar? Tyranitar is much more bulky. It's about the same stats. I think Tyranitar has a little bit more base stats, and it gets Sand Stream, so it sets up the stream and enables your teammates. Like Iron Thorns is not enabling anything but itself with this set, right? And this, I haven't seen anybody else use any other type of Iron Thorns. I've never ran into it on a ladder, so I'm only going based off the set that I use. But if anyone does, have a Iron Thorn set that they, want to post on the channel, if you want me to showcase it, I can. Just send me a Pokepaste and I'll play with it. And if it's good enough, I'll go ahead and make a showdown video of it. But I do think Iron Thorns is a D. It's a Great Tusk. Great Tusk is S. We can go ahead and throw it right in there, right? Great Tusk is the perfect ground type, if there ever is one, right? I still think ground and fairy might be the best combination with a ground type, but ground and fighting is right up there, right? It's perfect. Like this Pokemon was built perfect, and it has the flaw, not yeah. So it has the flaw of having like really mediocre special defense, but that's fine, right? Because it's made to play in tailwind teams and play fast and in the sun. It's made to hit hard, and its best moves drop its defenses anyway, right? So you're not really worried about defense. Like, you don't really want to play like a bulky Tusk. So it gets close combat, and it gets the ground version of close combat, which is Headlong Rush, right? Which are very effective. Like, these are both base 120, and you're doing so much damage to everything, even if you're resisted. Ground Terror is a really good Terror just to double down on the ground type damage. Then you want to also go for Earthquake. And a lot of sets that I've been seeing lately have been Scarf, right? Scarf, which I think is one of the, I think it is the best set in this format for Regulation C. I think Focus Sash is a little outdated and a little bit too slow for this format. So you do have to drop your Protect, right? But the speed boost is worth it. And then it's perfect because when you're max speed and max attack, you hit just enough speed to outspeed Iron Bundle with without a booster energy by 1 speed point, right? So that means without Tailwind, if they don't have booster energy or if it's not a Dragapult, you can outspeed them with Scarf, right? So you're only afraid of booster energy on Iron Bundle, Screamtail, and of course like any other Paradox Pokemon that has a booster energy, pretty much like in a high speed tier. But you're really just worried about Iron Bundle and Fluttermane, right? So then you can still go at him and get the most out of your attack and use a Scarf. I believe this is a really good set. There's a couple Terrors you can go with. You can go with Fire Terror, right? So Fire Terror helps you get around like the Fairy weakness, so you can survive a couple Dazzling Gleams as well as Steel. I think that these two are okay, but the only thing about tearing to a Steel or Fire is that you become weak to other Great Tusks, right? And now you're getting one shot by the other Great Tusks because you turn weak into it. I think Water could be interesting so that you already resist Electric, you're immune to it. So they're really not going to go for that attack into you until after you Terror. And then you do keep the Grass weakness, but I feel like Great Tusk is so commonly used on Sun teams with like Torkoal or like Murkrow with Sunny Day that Grass types are not going to have a good time against teams that Great Tusk are on, right? Because you usually have a Fire type with it. So a Fire type with Great Tusk plus a Fairy type like Fluttermane is really good at protecting Great Tusk's weaknesses, right? So I do think it's an S. I really don't think it needs any support. You can really throw this set. I would say Ground is probably the most consistent just for the extra damage. Plus like a Levitate user or a Flying type or a Flying Terror. Like this plus also Chien-Pao with Flying Terror. Let's move it right here. So Chien-Pao with Flying Terror is really fun. Flying Terror next to this is doing a lot of damage. I've seen this strategy also with Scarf Garchomp, which is a bit faster than Great Tusk, but if you wanted to go for this, you could still do it this way. Just because Great Tusk has the new toy syndrome. It's pretty debatable whether Great Tusk or Garchomp is better, depends on what you need. Garchomp is faster and a bit bulkier, but Great Tusk has the fighting stab, right? So it's pick or choose. Like, do you value the bulk more and the speed, the extra speed, or do you value the fighting type coverage, which is really good into the format right now with all the Ruin Pokemon running around that are dark type. So Great Tusk is amazing into that, right? So with all that said, Great Tusk is an S tier. All right, so Iron Jugulis. Iron Jugulis, I would put an A, if this was series 2. But now in this series, because there's so many other dark types, like dark and flying is kind of like, it's not doing anything. It's like you want to play just like Roaring Moon, but you're like worse than Roaring Moon. You are on the special side rather than the physical. I'll probably say it's a B. I just haven't seen Orange Jugulis. It was really good with the Tailwind Booster Energy, but I just haven't seen it in this format, right? And I don't want to say it's a C, because it could be good. I just haven't seen it, and I feel like it's just worse Roaring Moon, right? And I feel like it could be so much better, but it's not. I feel like they should have gave it like a higher special attack stat than Hydreigon. And I feel like it could have thrived with just a bit more damage output, right? It has the good speed. And outspeeds, like you always want to have booster energy on it, so it outspeed all the other Pokemon that don't have booster energy. And just getting a fast Tailwind going for Snarls and Air Slash Flushes is fun, but it's just not doing enough damage. So it can be kind of passive. And it can get walled by like steel types and things like that. There's not really any other sets that change the meta that I can think of. Like I said, when Orange Jugulis was used, it was just booster energy Tailwind things, right? I mean, it does get a good move. It does have Heat Wave, Hydro Pump. You could run like a rain variant, go for Water Terror, Hydro Pump, and Hurricanes in the rain. But I mean, it's still just not doing enough damage. Like 122 attack stat is okay. I mean, it's higher than Iron Valiant, but I feel like Iron Valiant stabs hit more things harder. So it feels like that 120 on the special side of Iron Valiant just hits a little bit harder than the Orange Jugulis. And take another sip of my water there. And I also seen Steel Terror with Flash Cannon, and that's supposed to be like a counter into Flutterman, but I feel like you might be able to take out a Flutterman with it, but then you just lose to everything else, right? And Flutterman is usually with ground types like Great Tusk and stuff to deal with the poison and steel types that it doesn't like. So with that said, Orange Jugulis is going to be B tier. Iron Hands. Iron Hands is another Pokemon that used to be S tier, but in this current format, it is a tier. Now it is the it's not. It kind of has a similar role as far as like fighting type physical attacker as Great Tusk. But the speed holds it back. And you do want to use it in Trick Room, but Trick Room teams are not that good in this format, right? You can go for it. You can get a couple wins with it. But Trick Room is not as consistent as it used to be, right? I did just make a new Iron Hand set that I'm going to be trying out. So I'm going to go ahead and reveal it. It's probably going to be in the next one of my videos for next week. But it's going to be Water Terror, Iron Hands, with Thunder Punch, Drain Punch, Swords Dance, and Detect. Right? And this has no fake out. So this is like the turn 1 when they try to go for passive plays because they believe that they're going to get faked out and doubled up into. So they might, protect both. You get a free Swords Dance up, and you can like use this next to like Fluttermane with like Trick Room or something like that, or another Trick Room Pokemon. Or you can just use it with something with redirection like Vivian. And if using Vivian, you can even drop the Thunder Punch and go for Earthquake. And then go for Ground Terror. And with Vivian, with the leftovers and Detect, Swords Dance, like you're doing a lot of damage and you're not taking much in return. This play is kind of similar to like Ting Lu Vivian, but it has the surprise factor of them not knowing that you're going for a ground type attack, right? And Iron Hands is a bit stronger than Ting Lu, so it could work out a little better. Plus you have the fighting coverage, right? So you're kind of like ground and fighting. But then at this point, if you're going ground and fighting, guess what does that? Great Tusk. But that's just, some sets that I like. Iron Hands is still really good. I think that Hariyama has the better moveset though, which is crazy to say. But Hariyama gets Bullet Punch, it gets Wide Guard, and it still gets like the fake out Swords Dance, Drain Punch, Close Combat, and it gets Headlong Rush too. So Headlong Rush, Bullet Punch, and Wide Guard are 3 moves that I really like on Hariyama that it doesn't get. But this is just so much bulkier than Hariyama. That's why you never see Hariyama. But I think it has a chance to come back in the meta. And people can realize that Trick Room teams are good. And Hariyama is very good. It's actually better at setting up Trick Room than this, because it threatens Fake Out plus next to like a Trick Room user. And then also you can go for Wire Guard next to Trick Room user in case they have like spread type attacks with Ghost Terror. And that'll keep you safe as well. The Iron Hands can't go for that same play. But Iron Hands is still an A tier in my eyes. The fighting coverage is still good into the format. It's super bulky. You can tech on Heavy Slam to one-shot Flutter Mane, which is always good to have steel type coverage, because Flutter Mane is the most popular Pokemon in the format right now. Alright, so Iron Treads. Iron Treads, I think it's better than Iron Thorns. I had a fun set that I was using. I'm gonna reveal it real quick. It was Bug Terror, right, with Mega Horn. Now this one shots with Helping Hand support from any Pokemon. You can go Mouse Hold. I was using Gyarados with Helping Hand, like Thunder Wave and Helping Hand, right? And this set is really good because the Thunder Wave works with this, because you could go Rock Slide and then Earthquake, and you can Earthquake next to Gyarados. The reason I didn't have Rock Slide is because I was using Iron Head and I had Protect, so I can like double Protect turn 1 and then boost your energy. But if you didn't want to run Protect, you could run out 4 of these moves. I recommend Iron Head or Rock Slide, but the Iron Head helps you deal with Flutter Mane really, right? And that's about it. If it's not boost your energy, you outspeed it, you can one-shot it. But Rock Slide is really good next to Thunder Wave, so you can go for Thunder Wave, Rock Slide, and get the Rock Slide Para Flinch. And then Mega Horn with Helping Hand one-shots Ting Lu, which is really funny to do. Of course, you one-shot without the Helping Hand Wo Chen. You one-shot Helping Hand with the Helping Hand boost, you one-shot Chi Yu, and without the Helping Hand boost, you one-shot Chen Pao. So it's really fun to go for that. Of course, you can't tear away from being weak to Chi Yu, but if you outspeed it with the booster energy, then you're doing pretty well with it, right? And I think Iron Treads can be good because of people don't see it, so they don't know what it does. So the surprise factor can help it win matches, right? So with that saying, I think it's a C tier. I think Iron Moth is also a C tier. 4 times weak to ground is not good. It might be separate from Volcarona, but it continues to share the 4 times weakness, but it's not the same. Volcarona is 4 times weak to rock. This one's 4 times weak to ground, right? It just can't get away from that 4 times weakness. And same with Slitherwing, right? We'll go ahead and do Slitherwing now. Slitherwing is going to be D tier. It also has a 4 times weakness to flying. And it's sad that they do Volcarona like that. Like, it's kind of like a meme that it's always going to be 4 times weak to something. So you're kind of forced to tear it. But Iron Moth is better than Slitherwing. But I think the best set for Iron Moth right now, if you want to use it in this format, you want to use Scarf, right? You need that speed boost, right? Or booster energy. Actually, booster energy might be better, right? So you're not locked into a move. But the only thing about it is you most likely going to have another Paradox Pokemon on your team with this. And if you want to not use up your booster energy, you can go for Scarf. But if you do go for booster energy, you can have Protect, right? And then you want to have Heat Wave. And then it has like the most coverage in the game, right? Like you have grass coverage, electric coverage, fairy coverage, bug coverage, flying coverage, and even hurricane for more flying coverage damage. You have steel coverage, psychic coverage, poison coverage, and then Terra Blast, so you can turn this into anything like a ground type. You can turn it into a water type and do water damage. Like you can, and then you have you just get everything, man. Like it has all the types pretty much. Like it's just so many sets it can run, but it's just so frail. Like it has no physical defense, so it gets one shot by like Sucker Punch from Chen Pao. And then it's 4 times weak to things. So its defenses are just so bad that you always have to terror this thing, right? and that's what kind of holds it back, right? So at that point, you might even want to consider Focus Sash just to survive. But I feel like it's so many Pokemon that do Focus Sash better than this that you're kind of just taking up a slot. But I think it can be good, just not in the format with the power level increased. I believe it could be better in a format with kind of like restrictions, like a ban format with like the top 10 Pokemon banned in the format, and then Armoff can rise, and then maybe like another format where like maybe you can only use 2 Paradox on one team, and then you can build like a team around it, because you got to have 2 Paradox, and then you can start like kind of centralizing it to make it better. I feel like if it's more centralized, it can be good if you build around it on your team. But with the way the format is now, you can have as many Paradoxes as you want to, right? So nobody's really going to take the time to build around Armoff and make their other team have to function around it. Unless, like I said, in a reduced format with like restrictions, with the top 10 ban or 2 Paradox period, I think it can thrive in that. I think any like Paradox Pokemon in like a format like I just described can thrive when you actually build a team around it, like kind of like it was restricted or something like that. And then Slitherwing, so let's go Slitherwing. Slitherwing is cool. I love the design. I love the idea of first impressions, Choice Bandit, like Bug Terror. Like this is like doing so much damage, right? And if you have Sun like next to Torkoal, you get a photosynthesis boost. Like you're just doing like 90% to everything, one-shot things that don't resist it, right? And then you think about it, first impression is only a first turn thing, like fake out, right? And all they got to do is protect, and then you lose their first impression. Now you could still go for like Leech Life, right? Strong or U-turn strong bug type attacks, launch. But then people are just gonna like kind of like predict you, right? Or like bug type coverage is not really that strong if it's not like surprising them. And the thing about first impression is it's stronger than those moves, and it moves first. So this will have to have like Tailwind support to be doing damage. You could go for Flare Blitz and Fire Terror, and the Sun that's still doing a lot of damage. Like, don't get me wrong, Slithering has the tools to be good. It's just the fact that you have to terror it, and then it's bad defenses, right? Its defense is kind of mediocre. It does have decent HP, decent special defense, but the 4 times being weak to flying, it's not good. Being weak to Fairy, Flutter Mane is not good, so you have to terror that. And then people kind of predict this thing to terror. They predict it to go for first impression. It's just too easy to predict it. Like, even if you don't know what it does, you can kind of predict, like I have an idea of what it does, even though it's not common, right? And that's what kind of holds it back, in my opinion. All right, Screamtail. Screamtail's A tier. We all know why. This Pokemon won a regional. Wolfie Glick used it to win a regional. In the most recent regional, it did well. This Disable Encore set is a nightmare to go against. It gives me, this set gives me nightmares like Chansey Shuckle used to in Gen 8 when I used to see it. It's just, you know what it does. It's hard to deal with it. It's going to protect turn 1, and then it's going to go for these moves and booster energy. You know, if you don't have your own booster energy or like a weather abuser Pokemon with Tailwind, it's going to outspeed you. It's going to disable the last move you use. It's going to encore you into moves that you don't want to use. And it's going to stick on the field. It's going to be Grass Terror, or it's going to be Steel Terror, right? And then it's going to have like a filler move just to do some type of damage, like Dazzling Gleam or Pay Rough or Psychic Fangs to break screens. And it's not going to like pick up the KOs, but it's going to enable your other teammates to be able to thrive, to be able to not worry about taking super effective damage, to be able to not, it's kind of like Got to Tail in a way, right? And that's why it's also good with Got to Tail teams, because it kind of controls your opponent's gameplay. It forces them to switch, because they know if they don't switch out, you're going to encore them into a protect if they protect, right? If you disable them and they're like choice locked, then they can't move, they're going to struggle. It forces them to switch, right? And it's kind of like the opposite. Got to Tail keeps you from switching, so it controls the game with Shadow Tag, so you can't switch your pieces around. And Screamtail does the opposite, where it forces you to have to switch your pieces around. And then that's still controlling your opponent, because you know that they have to switch, and it's risky if they stay in, right? Because then they're doing things that they don't want to use, or they risk getting encored or stuck on the field, right? So it kind of does it affects you in that way, similar to Got to Tail, but just does the opposite. But controlling your opponent's pieces is always like a good style of play. and I kind of like that style. Like I say, it does give me nightmares, but that doesn't mean I dislike it. I think it's fun, I think it's creative, and I think it's a very well built Paradox Pokemon. I wonder when they gave it these moves, did they have that in mind, that it was going to be running around the format doing that? Because honestly, when I first saw this thing and I saw its stats and I saw that they got Trick Room, I thought of it as like, oh, okay, I'm gonna make this min speed, drop its speed all the way down, speed reduce nature, and just bulk it out on its bulk. And it's gonna be like the hardest Pokemon to stop from setting up Trick Room, right? With like Mental Herb or Citrus Berry. And you literally cannot just one-shot this thing or get it off the field, and it's gonna set up Trick Room on you. But then now this set is just like, even takes it to the next level, right? All right, so Flutter Mane. Flutter Mane is going to be S tier. We all know why. It's the most popular Pokemon in the format. It's like baby Calyrex Shadow, and you know Calyrex Shadow won Worlds. So if you know a fast, hard-hitting, special attacking Ghost type won Worlds, what do you think is going to happen in a format with a Pokemon that's a baby version of it? It can't hit you with the Ghost type move for both hits, but it still like has something similar like Dazzling Gleam. It doesn't get a special attack boost like Calyrex, but it does have photosynthesis to give it a special attack boost if you go for it in that nature. And then like this on a Sun team or with Tailwind, it's like it's so good. Like it gets so many good moves. It gets Parasong, it gets Trick Room, it gets Icy Wind, and then it has like all the coverage that it needs. Like it gets Power Gem, Mystical Fire, Energy Ball, Thunderbolt, Moonblast, Shadow Ball, of course. You know, Hex if you want to really get spicy and play with like a Glamora. And like this is a cool set, like Ghost Terra, Hex with Glamora. So you get the poison out. Oh, not Glamet. Sorry about that. Glamora. You get the spikes, you get the toxic out, and then you come in with Hex. You outspeed everything with a booster energy if it's not arm bundle, right? And then you just click Terra and you Terra Ghost Hex, which is gonna turn into a base 130 move because it doubles. And then you have your Ghost Terra and you're just doing massive damage to everything. Only normal can is immune to you, dark resist you, and that's about it. Like you're hitting everything else. Like the coverage is so good, right? And I would argue that Ghost Fairy is a better typing than Ghost Psychic on Calyrex Shadow because you don't have that 4 times weakness to Dark and Ghost. But the thing about that makes Calyrex Shadow better is because it's faster than Flutter Mane. Its special attack is higher than Flutter Mane. It is bulkier than Flutter Mane. It has better bulk and it can Terra. And the only thing better about Flutter Mane is its typing, right? But now with Terra, you can Terra around your typing so you don't have that 4 times weakness, right? And Calyrex Shadow, like, it's a perfect Focus Sash mod. You want to always have Focus Sash on it. But Flutter Mane is a really good Pokemon. It has so many different Terras. You can go for Fairy Terra, Grass Terra, Steel type Terra, Ghost Terra, Water Terra, Fire Terra. It has so many different tools that it can run with. And like almost all Flutter Mane sets, unless they're choice specs, they're all gonna like have some type of unique thing to them, right? So moving on, our next Pokemon is gonna be Sandy Shocks. Sandy Shocks is gonna be, I'm gonna say it's a B tier. It's the special version of Great Touch, pretty much. It has electric ground coverage, which is amazing coverage. Plus, it gets like the best Terra on it is like Grass Terra. Sandy Shocks. Then you want to go Grass Terra, Terra Blast, right? Now this is a pretty threatening set. This does threaten Great Tusk. You go Thunderbolt and then Earth Power, and then I guess, you know, depending on what you do, you go to Protect, and then you go Booster Energy. And this is hitting a lot of Pokemon in the format. Tinglu kind of walls it, but it can. It doesn't want to see Chien-Pao. Doesn't want to see what else? Wo-Chien, because Wo-Chien kind of walls it as well. But it does do good into Chi-Yu. Ground coverage is always good. Electric coverage is good into Gyarados, which is running around the format right now. It's pretty common. It's good. It has a lot of counters, but it does good into the things that you need it to. If you bring it on your team, it's gonna have games where it's gonna win you the game, right? Because of its coverage, and because of like it's gonna have the super effective damage that you need to a certain Pokemon, right? So that being said, I think the only valuable set is like booster energy. I haven't really seen any other viability with any other sets, right? And our final Pokemon is going to be Iron Bundle. It's going to be A tier, right? Iron Bundle used to be S tier like Iron Hands, but in this format, it has lost a little bit power, but it's still an A tier Pokemon, right? It's still the fastest thing with booster energy, the fastest Paradox Pokemon. It still can Icy Wind you, right? But a nice meta adaptation has been Choice Specs in the snow with Obama Snow, because this Pokemon alone has made snow teams, brought them back, right? With Obama Snow. And then you go for Helping Hand, Choice Specs Blizzard, or Ice Terror, Choice Specs Blizzard. And this is able to one-shot Flutter Mane and outspeed it, right? Which is beautiful, right? Just removing Flutter Mane from the field is always satisfying because it's a very common Pokemon and it does damage. It does what its job was supposed to do. You can still go Icy Wind, you go Hydro Pump. The thing that holds this back is Hydro Pump, right? If it had like Muddy Water or something, like anything, like any other decent, like Scald's not in the game anymore, any other decent water type attack that does like at least 80 base power or more, other than Hydro Pump, like the 80% accuracy is just so bad. Like Hydro Pump feels so good when it hits, but it always feels like it misses when you need it to. Like it'll hit all the time when you don't need it, but the time when you need, okay, if this Hydro Pump misses, I lose the game, right? I need it to hit. Iron Bundle's gonna miss it, right? And it has Choice Specs on, like it has glasses and it still can't see, right? And that's the thing, like that's what kind of holds it back. But this set, like going for Blizzards in the snow, you don't have to worry about missing Hydro Pumps, right? And then you can go for Freeze Dry, and then I've seen like Sleep Talk, just not Freeze Shock, it doesn't learn that. Freeze Dry and then Sleep Talk, right? That helps you get around like a Mungus Spore, like in case, because there's nothing else to really run. Like you're gonna be locked into a move, so you don't really want to be locked into Icy Wind. It could do a decent amount of damage, but you much rather be clicking Blizzard and trying to get that freeze chance, right? That's the whole idea behind it. Iron Bundle is a really good Pokemon. I do think it's a top 5 Ruin Pokemon. It might be, to be honest, it's better than these, right? So we go in order like this. If I had to put these in order, Shiny Shocks, I think Iron Valiant's better. If we go like this, so Iron Thorns is the worst, and Flutter Mane is the best, right? Great Tusk is second, Iron Bundle's third, and then it'll go in order just like this from right to left, right? On which one's the best. These two are Paradox, but they're not legal yet. I will redo this list when another format comes and these two become legal, because that'll change everything. Just like this is different from Regulation B to C, because like I said, these two would be in S tier if not for the Ruin Pokemon, right? Being in the format. So that's gonna be my list. This was very fun to do. Happy Memorial Day to all of you. I hope you are enjoying your holidays. If you don't mind, answer the question of the day for me. Question of the day today is going to be, what's your favorite Paradox Pokemon? Mine is actually going to be Roaring Moon. I think it's my favorite design. Flutter Mane is very close, a close second. But the way Flutter Mane is so common in the format, when I first saw the Paradox Pokemon, Flutter Mane was my favorite. But with how much people use it and abuse it, it's kind of fell off to like being my third favorite actually, because Iron Valiant is pretty cool. I think Roaring Moon and Iron Valiant are the two best, but like I said, to answer the question of the day, which is my favorite, Roaring Moon's definitely gonna be my favorite, aesthetic wise, the way it looks, the way it moves, the dragon typing. I love dragons. Fire typing is my favorite typing, but dragons like to breathe fire, so that always was a reason why I like dragons, right? And they're pretty fun to use. But that's gonna wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Deuces.